kind of deal? Okay. Just wondered. I met this lady, so it was just like, I think that's something that we could benefit from. And then well, who are you? You know, who's the we? And she says, oh, well, I am working. So I wondered whether that Timberline. All right.
Let's call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Yes, trustee Giroux,
Here.
trustee Saint Germain,
Here.
trustee Earps, trustee Craig,
Here.
trustee Daniels.
Here.
Christine, microphone, Christine. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I forgot it was on. All right, let's stand for the flag salute. Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
I will move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. No public comment tonight? Is that
We have
correct?
none.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for our October 16th work session regular meeting and our November 6th special board meeting.
I'll move we approve those two.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, moving right along. First step on our appreciations and presentation, we have an early graduation request. So Mr. Jones, if you'd like to come up here and take a chair. You don't forget to hit that button. Okay, go ahead, Don.
Sorry if I'm a little bit nervous. It's kind of
It's all right.
disturbing. But hi, my name is Dalton Jones. I'm here to talk about graduating early. How was I able to graduate early? I went to the academy because I was lacking in school credits. I got 14 credits when I graduated from the IUICA, then brought me up to where I can go to school for a semester or to graduate or for a semester early. What I want to do after high school is go into the military. And I want to be a diesel mechanic. My goals are just to graduate high school and make a career out of the military.
Okay.
And that's why I want to graduate early.
All right. Questions?
Are you already signed up?
I talked to a recruiter. Well, I talked when I was up at the academy. Sergeant Judson tried to recruit me for the reserves, and then I had another recruiter, Sergeant Bake. And then he got me out of the reserves, and then signed the papers for the Army National Guard.
Oh,
And then since he's not recruiting anymore, I have Joe Sergeant Girl as my new recruiter.
okay, good. Thank you.
So you're going into the Air National Guard?
Army National Guard.
Army National Guard. Okay, great. Thank you.
So for diesel mechanics, that's what your
Yes, ma'am.
MLS is. Okay. How old are you now?
I'm 18.
You are 18. Okay.
I was just gonna say.
Old.
I know that
Yeah.
17 was the limit because I had to go down and interview them to allow my son to do that.
Yeah.
Sounds like you really enjoyed IDYCA.
He
Yeah.
looks young.
Yes, sir.
Good,
Mhm.
great.
Have you always wanted to do the military or?
I didn't know what I want to do after high school at all. I just figured that once I graduated, I'd just figure something else. And then ever since I started the YPA through the Army National Guard,
Mhm.
they teach you about like how to work in groups and then learn some skills like navigation, use a map, compass, and all that. Go outside, teach us some wilderness stuff, and I just got hooked on it. And it was kind of difficult because when I got older, I realized like I was following my father's footsteps, and I didn't want to go down that path. So I was like, I need to change. So I was like, I want to go into the military.
Good for you.
Very good.
So just so I understand, you've completed all of the requirements to graduate at the end of this semester?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. More power to you.
a senior project with everybody else in January, and then after that.
What was your senior project?
It's about IDYCA.
Good.
Awesome.
Good subject.
Right.
No, just congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're gonna work while you're in the Guard, I take it?
Yes, ma'am.
You're under 10. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Outstanding.
Anybody else have anything for him?
Are you gonna work in a diesel mechanic shop by chance?
Well, hopefully once I retire from the National Guard, if I choose so, I don't know, but it's a plan. I want to open my own auto shop and teach people how to work on cars or any trucks if they choose so. Because right now, like we need a lot of mechanics for what's going on right now.
So you know about the GI Bill and the GI Bill kicker and all that stuff for the National Guard that you'll get.
Yes.
So use that to go to diesel mechanic school.
Yes,
too?
ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Yes, they do. All right.
So do we need a motion to accept his
It's
graduation
under
or?
action.
It's
items.
under action items.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good job, Dalton. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
All right. I hope you succeed and come back and talk to the IDYCA cadets about everything. And that's really cool. Proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. That's
Yeah,
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
So we support you, but the process is we talk about it now and all the other stuff, and then we vote on it after.
Okay.
So. but
Don't
we-
be nervous.
We support you.
I don't know. It's kind of intimidating.
It's all right. Yeah. Yeah. It's fine.
Oh,
We get it. Yeah. You
we'll
did.
be nothing after you join the army.
Yeah. I think you already know about some of that stuff already. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
All right. Well, good job, Dalton. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. You could, yeah.
You don't want me to turn the mic on?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I
Next
didn't
up, we
see
have a
this
presentation from
morning.
Tammy Waite.
Not yet. Let me do an introduction. Thank you for letting me share tonight. Thanks to Denise for inviting me. Just kind of felt like I wanted to just bring you up to speed on the school garden. This was our third growing season. And so because Russell knows this, as does Denise, I'm far better at building barbed wire fence than electronics. So I threw together a quick slideshow using a free app. Obviously, it has a watermark because I'm not going to buy it. So I apologize for that. Anyway, it'll get the point across. It is relatively short and sweet. It'll just have some slides that kind of give you an idea. And then I'll be happy to just kind of fill in the blanks. So go ahead, Russell. Thank you. So in 2019, 2020, we experienced a crisis across the world, and OES campus closed. At that time, prior to that, we had a rudimentary school garden, a project that was envisioned by Mrs. Shelley Brooks, our principal, at that time. It failed. I'm just going to say it failed, and not to any fault of hers. But then with the campus closure, the school garden went back to its wild side. But Dr. Garrett dangled a carrot in front of my nose one day about a community grant and said, Tammy, we might be able to find some money. And at this time, Tam and Naden, OES kindergarten teacher, and myself were trying to keep it alive. So with that transformation, community transformation grant money, the school garden came to fruition. Beautiful. Ralph Roseberg, that gentleman right there, was a U of I master gardener. And Ralph's estate, after his passing, supplied almost everything we needed for that greenhouse and
Wow.
tools for the garden, which was wonderful because we really didn't have the funds after this complete renovation. As you can see, the beds were replaced. The greenhouse that was up here at the high school was magically transported down. Building materials. And so with that, I do want to share the school garden is not just a happy green playground. It is very much a learning environment. We do everything, including math, which is way fun. And now Dalton can testify to this. The cadets from the National Guard Academy are our lifesavers. Every spring and every fall, group comes down with our extra produce that does not necessarily go to our school food program, because we're finding that our students are taking it during the summer, which is the idea. And any extra, as you saw the cadets, we went over to the senior center. We do have some pets in the garden. This is Minnie, Maniac, and honeybees. We have a garden bunny that comes down occasionally. I am very much into the nature aspect of gardening. We are pesticide and herbicide free. We do seed saving along with just trying different varieties and different methods of growing. We really enjoy the fact that nature doesn't need our help. We have many volunteers in the spring, and that pumpkin jack photo was one of the testimonies of how nature will just thrive. I enjoy sharing nature with the kiddos. So I'm kind of an insect person. So we do a lot of insect. We encourage beneficial insects as well as beneficial small animals, amphibians, birds. And I have found that if you give the kids, find some aspect in the garden that they enjoy, whether it be a creativity in something, whether it be logistics, whether it be building engineering, you can really hook them in. Everything from entering vegetables and flowers in our local fair to just marveling at how nature thrives under the right conditions. I have totally enjoyed just watching kids just get into the dirt. One of my favorite things is watching children dig potatoes, because it is like they found gold. And so what, unfortunately, and Miss Carmen and Mrs. Naden, we were not able to take hardly any of the produce to augment the school summer food program, because most of it went out the gate with people who stopped by or went to our senior center. Russell, can you just, on that last screen, will it freeze? I don't know if he can do it with my, yeah. I just love this quote by Robert Louis Stevenson. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Another one of our sayings, one of our garden mottos is all of the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. So, I did bring a couple of fun stuff. Where are they? This is just fun stuff. Just fun stuff. I so appreciate the fact that Denise and Lindsay and administration supports this garden. This garden, like I said, has to be a place of learning. If we don't continue to teach in the garden, then it'll just go away. And I think after 3 years, Orofino Elementary School staff is now grasping that, oh, I can take my kiddos out during my math time in my classroom day. And I'll ask them, what do you want to teach? Sometimes it's just, we just want to chill. We just need to chill. But even when the teachers and their students come out, that classroom is still going to be engaged in something. It's very, very difficult for me to just not share. And in fact, this an example of that is this week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, the latest cadet crew from the academy came down. And I was so blessed. I'm always blessed by the cadets. But this group of 12 girls worked so hard. I had to order their pizza early because they were finished. But they were so into it. Everything from finding slug eggs. They'd never seen slug eggs before. So we're all grouped around slug eggs. To, after the day was done and they had winterized the garden, pots of herbs that were still untouched by Jack Frost, that some of the girls knew what they were. And we were doing the pinch and sniff thing. And their cadre was like, or their sergeant was like, I don't know if they should be doing that. I go, it's just tarragon and rosemary and basil. It's okay. Anyway, so the girls said, what are you going to do with these? And I said, well, they'll just winter over. And one of them said, we have a greenhouse. Can we take them? And I said, I asked for permission. And I just loved it. All 12 of those girls, as they marched to their van, had chives or some kind of herb. One of the ladies found potatoes that hadn't been dug, and she ended up with about a 5-pound sack full of red Pontiacs, and out the door she,
Wow.
and I just thought, isn't that just so amazing? They came down to bless me with helping with winterizing the garden, and they walked out with all those treasures. So that's why it needs to continue. I unfortunately have to step down because I have some duties. Now, these I know they can't see online, but this was opinion writing in 3rd grade. Now you'll see that the teachers, oh my gosh, my hands, Chris, will you hold me?
Yep, I will.
The teachers had given the students a framework, but it just kind of delights me about some of the things that they remember doing, but that they also really want their garden to stay. And so we do so much in there. We're recognized by the National Wildlife Foundation because even in the winter months, we're feeding the wild birds. We're encouraging the hibernation of our insects. It is very much an outdoor classroom. And with the greenhouse, we start in March, but often the teachers will want in the classroom classes. So we'll do germination, we'll do prep before we plant. We do many things in the classroom before we can move out. The school garden also has its own little microclimate. So we can start early, Chris, and we did not actually have a killing frost until just a few weeks ago. That brick wall and just the way that those wings are formed,
Sheltered from the wind.
it really really creates an awesome environment for a long growing season. We still had cabbages, we still had celery and kale and chard. And so during what do I call that, Denise, when I just had people stop by? It was during an open house, right? Oh, teachers conferences, and students and their parents would just come in and take what was left. With that, we have had some open houses. We had a weedathon. We really tried to get the community to buy in. Now, I'm pretty sure that our seniors at the senior center bought in because they love their little seedlings, their little plants that were volunteers. And when we take some of the upper elementary kids over with these pots of, well, I can tell you it's in the pumpkin family, or it is a tomato. I don't know if it's little or big. But then in the fall, when I pop in, the seniors tell me what they ended up with. And I just think that is a success story. So anyway, as I step down, please join me in praying for a team of people to step in and take over the garden. I have failed miserably in the last few years to form a team. My husband says it's because I'm very intimidating and I do everything my way. And people are afraid to ask me if they can help. And I'm like, oh, that isn't good. We've had some wonderful volunteers come in, adults and children. And in fact, we tell the kids, if you see that garden gate open, that means someone's in there, stop by, and they do.
Yeah.
So ideally, a team of 4 would be great, but you still need the border collie. You always need the border collie. And I envision that person as the person who has the gift of teaching, because not everyone enjoys spending time with kids. I thrive on it. But I know people who do not, but they have such wisdom and giftedness that they could impart. So I envision that border collie being the person who could work with the teaching staff and get that curriculum, keep that curriculum standard up and work with the teachers. Also, too, we need a grant writer on that team. I am not a grant writer. Way back in the day, Randy Brooks taught me rudimentary grant writing. And so with Joanne McFeeder's help, we have pulled in some tiny amounts, but I'm just not a grant writer, Chris. So also too, it would be very helpful to have a PR person. Obviously, I can't even put a slideshow together. So it would be really nice to have a person who's skilled in that area that could keep the school board apprised, the principals apprised, and the community apprised through a Facebook page or something like that. And then just people who don't mind going in and spending some time. A garden needs tending, just like we do. It needs care. Else otherwise it'll get a little wild and crazy. Which parts of our garden we let get wild and crazy, because that's part of our learning process, part of our education, to just experiment and see what nature will do.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. And in fact, here's a for instance. I'm not much on salad greens. I'm more into hefty vegetables. But last year, because we needed a geometry lesson in the garden, we designed a geometric salad bar garden bed with the lettuces and the little mini greens and the carrots and parsleys and all of that. And it was beautiful. The kids did a great job doing square foot gardening, doing their angles. But we had flea beetles. Flea beetles came in, and they're a remarkable little creature. They are like a plague. But here's the good thing. Greg, we planted 2 beds, 2 salad bar beds, geometrically designed. The flea beetles were in one and they stayed there because it was so beautifully planted. The rest of the garden, Dr. Garrett, was left alone. So that just taught me, well, we can do that again. This year we let that bed go dormant though, because we did not want to encourage flea beetles. And we didn't have flea beetles come back, but we had weeds and we had some surprises come up. So anyway, I could go on and on about it, Brian, and I know that your family gardens. So it is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I guess in wrapping up, I am not going to step through the gate this spring. I shared with Denise, I committed through the summer and through the harvest and then this winterization, and I'll check on it periodically. And I don't mind if someone wants to use me in advisory capacity, but I'm also thinking that maybe this Moses has to die before the Joshua can step in, because I think people might think, oh, we have to follow Tammy's pattern. No, you don't. So anyway, I just appreciate you. But do keep in mind for that grant writer that the garden has to support herself. And
Definitely.
with the blood drive, Vitalent blood drive last year that Bryn Knutson sponsored. And it was, oh, help me, what was the program?
PTO, wasn't it?
Yeah, huh?
Was it the PTO?
No,
No.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, $1,000 was given to the school garden, which was amazing. We purchased some grow lights and some things for it. There's a small account at the elementary school that Mrs. Marcy Bonner manages. So anytime we do fundraisers or, you know, this or that, those funds go in there. But otherwise, you know, she probably needs $1,000 a year just to be able to be creative with those classes in activities and supplies when they come in. Chris?
So Tammy, we visited earlier. I'm struggling with the same sort of lack of succession plan at the ski club, but there is a ladies gardener club. I believe they meet once a month in town.
Yes, I joined it. Not my thing, but I did join it.
Okay, yeah. So I wonder, is there any potential there for a team?
There is, and some of them have been wonderful volunteers that have come in, but they, like me, have found that life circumstances kind of commit them or kind of prohibit them from committing full-time to something. But as advisory, they've been wonderful for us, especially like the flower arranging for the fair. So I'm still working on them. I still go to the meetings, and Mike and Joni Mount have been so supportive. I mean, actually, this whole community has been so supportive in just blessing us with Orofino Builder Supply. Last year, at the end of the gardening season, how these little kid gloves, they just blessed us with them. So they're in the greenhouse, and yeah, so I'm trying. I do have a few leads and people who have written down that they might be willing to have cup of coffee and visit a little further. And I'll pursue that.
I think there's probably some groups too that do volunteer work and community service type work that I think we could probably get in for at least, you know, a day of weeding or things like that.
Right, like our weedathon.
Yeah, and
Some
do
of them
some
did
things
come
like that.
in, and I had a quick frame about Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts, before our troop disbanded, put the beds together in the garden. But yeah, without that community grant money, Dr. Garrett, it would never have happened. It was overwhelming. It had just gone feral and fallen apart. And so now it's too nice to, and that won't happen. I know it won't happen. And with that, you know, people need to go through the process, and I'm quick to share that, get their volunteer paperwork in, their screening, this and that. And anyway, That's it. Any more
Well, Tammy,
questions?
Awesome.
you have gone above and beyond. I've seen you for years where, where I've known Tammy for a long time and work with 4-H kids and all that entails, and with the kids at the elementary school when you work there, and then with this. And I hate to see you step down, but I know there comes a time.
Yeah, I
There
know.
comes a time where you gotta cut the cord,
Yep.
But I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for this community and to our school. And the garden program is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
it's-
so thank you.
No, well, you're welcome. It's just kind of good for me, Miss
I-
Chris.
I
but
know.
Anyway, if anyone has any questions, wants to visit further, I'll be happy to give my info. I just have a cell phone, but it's textable. And I can share further.
All right.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Denise,
I
is there
would
anybody in your staff that has an interest in kind of adopting it
Oh,
further?
garlic.
Get some garlic for sharing.
Yes. We do have a few staff members who are really interested in the garden, but working a full-time job teaching and then being able to get in and teach those classes as they come through is a little overwhelming. It'd be challenging. There's some times of the year that Tammy spends 2 or 3 or 4 solid weeks every day in there. Working with kids, and then all the time outside of school with leading and managing and all of that, so.
I
What if
might,
there's an AmeriCorps?
I don't know. I might share in defense of Mrs. Shelley Brooks. Her vision for that school garden was what it is now.
Yeah.
But she did not have a volunteer base, and she did expect staff to maintain it, and
Not gonna happen.
no. And I rely on them often. Often I'll turn to them, especially like when it comes to math. Math's not my thing. So when I'm asked by a 6th grade teacher to do fractions, I'm like, I can do rudimentary stuff, but let's, and they get excited and they collaborate with me. And oh my gosh, we just had a blast with that. So
I feel you. That's
I do have seed collected from the kids. And so I'm just gonna leave these here for after the meeting. And is someone else gonna be up here? Probably.
No, I think that's it.
So garlic, seeds.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you,
Thank
Tammy.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Thanks, Tammy.
All right. So moving on with our recognitions, in the board reports, we had some other recognitions besides Tammy, of course, because we want to recognize and thank her. From Timberline, Katrina Morris, she wrote and received a grant from the Idaho Cap Ed Foundation for Fun with Phonics, which is literacy-based thing, which is a huge push right now. The grant supports students with intervention materials as they improve their reading skills. Michelle Brown wrote and received one of the LCCU teacher grants to purchase math games and supplies to make math fun for kids. Yay, anything to make math fun. It's not my thing. And Timberline really appreciates the 2 ladies for taking the time and the initiative to go on and do that. Another big one that we have from OJSHS is our CTE grant that they got for $528,100. $528,100. Yeah, that's great. And with the help of Becca, Louise Allen, and JZ Savage, they put a lot of time and effort into that. And that is just way, way cool. Becca, do you want to just tell everybody just a little short little blurb on what that's going to do?
We applied to be able to develop a CTE natural resources pathway. So it's an expansion of both our shop and Louise's wildlife and fisheries program. So we actually are gonna, we get a mill and a kiln and an edger, and we're gonna expand the shop to put in all new welding equipment and a drying area, and to be able to open up that forestry wood production side of the industry in alignment with, like I said, the classes Louise is teaching. So CTE pathways are built into beginning, intermediate, and capstone courses. Right now, we just have our shop courses and our shop pathways, and then just the 2 science classes that Louise teaches. So we'll be able to, within the next 5 years, really hoping have kids graduate and be able to go right into technical fields, either go, to get their associates and do the exploratory forest program at the U of I, or do, get hired as a fish tech for the summer and just get started on their work. So we really wanted to tap into the fact that we as Orofino are the hub of those all different types of natural resources, not just logging, not just fisheries, not just forestry. We have everything. And so our kids are going to get a chance to participate in those programs. Like I said, we're very excited. Louise and JZ kind of did a lot of our bids and planning for the shop. Louise has built that with wildlife fisheries and forestry program. And then with my CT background, we kind of just went and built it together. So
Awesome.
we're excited.
Awesome. That is so exciting.
So I had a lot of great conversations, particularly with the Idaho Forest Products Commission. Michelle Youngquist was there, and it sounds like the curriculum development piece is still under development and refinement, and nobody really knows exactly what we're going to do. I understand Louise has been participating with Michelle in the summer programs, which is awesome. But that pathway is really just it's the stuff. But is it also curricular development?
The good news is, there is currently already in place with the state, the natural resources and agricultural CTE pathway, which houses a natural resources and ecology specific pathway that will fit pretty close to what we're doing.
Okay, so
That being said, there is development at the state level. Dr. Garrett had me attend a meeting with Senator Crabtree on the development of the forestry curriculum and also making it more of a wood production logging side of things, because that side is limited as far as pathways. We are in a spot where we have really good base intro level curriculum and even intermediate. Louise feels good with her industry level of experience, and so does JZ to build this. It's that capstone, that kind of more. But the good news was with CTE, even in the next couple of years, that capstone can be on the job experience. So if our kids can get jobs with Idaho Forest Group or just even local entities, that will count as their capstone completion project. And so curriculum wise, we have enough what we need in the next couple of years, but I would love to see a continued expansion with forestry and the wood production management, different stuff like that, to give our kids that step into the logging industry that maybe is not that entry level, something with a little bit more experience. It's not something breaking their body for it, but like really getting into a spot where they can grow your own, go to school here and then work here.
So prior to my former life, we were having conversations with the logging contractors and JZ and Charlie. So when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, right on, this is going to help them.
Right.
But it's not really. It's about more of the manufacturing and forest products.
It's open-ended enough. We are now going to have the equipment and the expanded facilities to be able to go whatever direction we feel works the best for kids. We have that was the best part of all of this is the industry support that we received. We'd got the Clearwater County Economic Development Committee kind of got us looped in with some different organizations that said, yeah, if these kids graduate with these skills, they can do these things. So part of the formulation of that curriculum is going to come from industry partners saying, if a kid graduates with these skills, we will hire them. So we will build our program based on what the industry says is needed for a variety of fields.
Years ago, the Forest Service did something similar to this in that they had a work study where you had work release and work study program years ago that they did, and you worked your way into a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
So
which
that
was
was a long time
long.
ago.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
I did it. It was it was that long ago. But it's similar.
It's a
similar
pathway
type
to
of a
pathway to a career. Like the CTE whole concept of CTE is really embedded in the apprenticeship concept. And so kids graduating, like I said, the skills that they know. But when you're speaking to as far as the curriculum piece, there is a big push to get, and I'm on a steering committee for that now to kind of help develop what that looks like. I do think that one of the things that's going to need to get navigated in the next couple of years is the merriment of industry and education and who writes the standards and who sets the precedent for curriculum. And that takes some navigation. But the good news is there's already a CTE pathway in place. And I spoke to the state about us getting put on as a full-on pathway within the next year or two. Cool. This funding will get us started, but then making sure we have sustainable funding from the state as well for CTE.
Yeah, and there was a really great CTE breakouts or workshop session that I attended last week at the association meeting, and there are interim skill stack badges and that process that can help create, and the industry is is intrinsically tied to
Yes.
that as well. And they really pressed upon the fact that the programs with one-time funding have to get to a certain level in order to be competitive for that annual funding.
Mhm.
And that's why I asked about the Perkins money as well. So I think and I wonder whether there are opportunities to leverage some of the sector-based dollars that the Workforce Development Council has and sort of tie some of these things together.
I think so. That was a conversation that came up when I was those economic development committee meetings, is talking about how do we support some of our field trips onto job sites and some different things, because the grant itself wasn't in a position where they wanted to support curriculum and or student travel at all. And so when I reached out to Clearwater Economic Development and talked to them about what our vision was, they were like, "Yeah, we could probably help support workplace money with field trips and some different
The
things."
RAC would be a great
Okay.
way, avenue for dollars for that.
Okay.
That would be
Yeah.
a really good tie.
So
So-
we're looking
If you build it, they will come.
that's the methodology. Like that's the
Yeah.
mindset we had with it. We're like, right now our programs are pretty well, there's quite a few kids that participate, but I could see it doubling and tripling over
Oh,
the next
yeah.
couple of years, because you're building something to be a part of something, and they get to be like outside and do all the things that they love in our community, but also have a job.
Fun, cool stuff.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like it. All right. Well, thank you, Becca.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and lastly, in Peck, they implemented a new Caught Doing Something Good campaign where students are recognized. They receive certificates and recognition in front of the entire school. Parents and the kids are loving it. And the sixth grade students planned and implemented I can't even say that. That is really hard. Red Ribbon Week. Say that 10 times fast, I dare you. But they implemented their own activities for that for the school. So good job, Peck. All right. All right, moving on to did we have a safety committee report?
Yes, we do. So I was not able to attend in person, but I was on the phone with that because I was traveling to Boise. So I think Russell could probably help a little bit on some of these. I might call on you if you don't mind. Communications, it looks like we have, Derek was talking about, we have our repeater in place. So we were talking about the two-way radio system we've been trying to get implemented for a while. We're still having difficulties getting bids on the base units. Yeah, we can do. Derek, do you want to do the report?
Oh, he on?
He probably doesn't want to.
It's not linked, right?
It's not linked. Yeah, it wasn't linked.
I just sent you an email with it.
Oh.
You have it.
Oh, okay.
Some of the stuff on there, I just wanted to keep it because some of our safety stuff we keep fairly confidential,
Right,
obviously, for obvious reasons. Controlled access, I think the main thing, Russell just said that PEC is fully online, correct now? And then, yep. So when we have basically everything we did for our first grant, for the safety grant, there was 120,000, 140. We've got all that installed and operational at this point. There's a round 2 of that grant that we're going to finish some of these projects up. So we're getting ready to apply for that, and basically extenuation of what we did, and then a few additional things. So things are coming along in that aspect.
And they're still working on the lighted speed signs and the crosswalks and all that. Kind
Yep,
of good
that
stuff.
stuff. So, yep, that's still there. The city's working on that. Signage for the buildings that we were required to do, those have all been done. Safety plans, we're still working on those, refining those a little bit. We have some generic plans. Not everybody has theirs in place at this point. We have some generic ones in each one of the buildings. It's something we need to review and make a little bit more uniform and accessible, I guess.
Mhm.
So we've done some work on that, but we could do some more. And then, like you said, the crosswalk information down at OES, and then also trying to do some crosswalks and some different speed limits and those type of things out on Riverside Avenue as well. So that turn into this building and off is something that's pretty dangerous. Lots of traffic through there. Student safety, we were looking at vapes. We do have that technology. We do not have that installed yet because we kind of put it on the back burner to get everything else going. So with the access control and all that, but I think we're ready, getting pretty close to that installation. Restraint training or de-escalation training, we're doing for personnel safety. We're all required, all employees are required to have that training. So we're going to do that on district day. And then there'll be some more extensive training for administrators and teachers and paras, personnel who are more closely engaged with high-risk students. So it's a much larger training that we'll try to fit in as best we can. Let's see, what else do we have here? law enforcement safety. Oh, Narcan was a big thing that we had talked about, having access to, and it sounds like that we don't have as readily as access to it. Sheriff Getz has allowed us, he said there's a sheriff in the state that has access to that, so we can get it through them and get it to us if we need to for our facilities as well. So we still do have access. It's not as direct as it was. Looked at doing some drills on school buses. We actually, this time we incorporated EMS and fire as well. We generally had started with law enforcement. So we had them invited as well. So those meetings will get more and more productive as we go. I think more well-rounded. So anything I missed on those, Russell? You were there, I believe. So just kind of a quick summary. I sent you guys the minutes or the notes to that, so you guys have those as
Right.
well.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything on that?
Thanks.
Okay. Building reports, did you have something where you just?
Yeah, so on the Narcan, I'll
Mhm.
get you a name and number.
Okay.
They'll ship to you. It's free.
Okay.
You just they have expiration dates. You got to rotate their own.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they're free to the state of Idaho.
Send them to myself and I will get them to Casey. So our school
I'll
nurse, so
get
she
you
can
the
get those.
information.
Perfect. Thank you.
You shouldn't have to buy it.
We haven't been purchasing it. They've
Yeah.
been.
Yeah,
it's
they'll
free,
ship
yeah.
you a good bit and
Yeah.
then they'll just put you on an auto
Okay.
shipment.
Is that just an inhaler or something?
It's a mist.
So it's pretty easy to
It is.
Yeah.
administer.
Real easy.
Yeah.
You never know when you're gonna need that.
And we have ours stationed by our AEDs
Yeah,
in every
good.
building. So it's right there with it. Some little.
Yeah, it's
Great.
pretty,
Thank you,
pretty
Ryan.
straightforward.
Yeah.
So. All right. Okay, building reports. Did everybody have a chance to review the building reports that we got?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, anything?
Attendance is holding good everywhere. It's good.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah,
The
92 to
referral trend is
93%. I
good.
thought it was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It's
Yeah.
good to see.
And- And also if you look at the numbers or the different types of, I'll call them infractions, the intervention pieces, they're getting less diverse. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It will be fun to look at the trend over time and see, are the natives getting restless? It kind of looked like maybe just the last week or so that natives might be getting a little restless and
I believe they are.
need a break.
We're still on trend to be down for November.
Right, yeah. Significantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have to, it's the time of year too, a lot of it, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, the holidays start rolling around. Kids get a little antsy.
Well, but I wonder if it's just a period within the quarter, I mean,
Yeah.
have they
which-
focused enough and they're ready to, let loose so it'll be really interesting next quarter. And
To see.
I complimented Becca on, I would love to see this kind of data from every school.
Fair enough. So I wanted to share a little bit of data as well. Emma has been doing our attendance. We have her hired on a grant tracking attendance. Been doing a lot of work at all the schools, working with the attendance secretaries and administrators. And what we're seeing is the data that we're tracking when we start comparing to last year is we're seeing a few increases in some incidences of kids being out and gone. Overall, we see the trend going down, but I think it comes from the accuracy of the data. We've had to train our secretaries to where they're really being on the same page when you have 3 different buildings that are tracking in different, they do recent codes and why these kids are absent or why they're sick, or call-ins, all those different things. Once we kind of got that under control, we're starting to see a lot more consistency. So next quarter, again, like you said, that'll be a really good comparison. So I have some, and I'll share these with you. One of the things we really had to work on was our extraordinary code. So as a district, our extraordinary codes are things that are basically not counting against our attendance for the district, but may be counting against for the state. So extraordinary might be something like the fair. If a student is going to the fair, they're really not at school, but we say, as a school district, we say can be an educational experience if they're participating in, with livestock or whatever it might be. So we'll put those as extraordinary. So when we look at the state, when we're looking at funding from the state, that can affect us. But when we're looking at our policy with our 9-day policy, when they get the meeting, so to speak, that doesn't count against those. So we clean that up because I think there was lots of misconceptions or misinterpretations or their own opinions on what those should be. So we really try to define that a little bit more to make sure that everybody's very consistent. So we're seeing those patterns become more and more consistent with the training and keeping an eye on it. So overall, the response from parents and, from students, if we're not able to get parents in during the working day for a 9-day meeting, we'll have the meeting with the student, and we've been issuing contracts, and then the follow-up on those contracts and the one that's following up on that. So the parameters that they have to meet, whether it is Friday schools or whatever those things might be, to make up some of that time. So really our next step is Dwayne is working on a report, and I think Russell's working on this as well. So we can tie that back to grades. So the attendance and grades are put together, and we can look at that and say, look, and it's very evident when kids are gone, they're missing assignments, which brings their grades down. So there's a direct correlation. So I think that'll really be good information and data to have to support where we're at. So we're getting closer to that. A lot of work's been done on that. Emma's done a great job of keeping up on it. And I think everybody has good things to say. So anyway, that'll become part of our standard report in the future. We'll run some reports for you so you see those attendance pieces as well. So.
Okay. All right. Program reports. Everybody have any questions, comments on those? All right, let's move on to
Cody, it looks like your team has been busy with sort of proposal development. It looked like your team has been busy with proposal development.
Yeah. GSFR, is that what you're-
When I read it this morning, it looked like you've been working on 2 different grant programs.
Oh, yeah.
That was the bulk of your report.
Yep.
Was-
IDA grant, and the consolidated grant.
Yep. And what do those do for us?
Those are our 2 big federal grants that the district has. IDA supports special education, and consolidated grants more like Title I and Title II.
Okay.
So I can, if you don't mind me interjecting for Cody a little bit, since Cody has been on the last couple of years, those programs have went under a lot of scrutiny and adjustments, rightfully so. He's fine tuning those programs to where we're maximizing our dollars and our services at the same time. So Cody's been a great asset to that and keeping his eye on that. He's, not that we were doing terrible before, but definitely looking into it a lot more.
From the standpoint of accountability to the funders, or?
So we're basically every year we are allotted X number of dollars based on enrollment and other factors as well. But
So their formula.
it's how we use those dollars is what we're really looking at, the efficiency and the effectiveness of it. So, putting people where they really are supposed to be. So for example, paraprofessionals, making sure if they are sped para, they're paid out of the IDA grant or, the sped side of things versus a title para being paid from the title. So really tracking those things, and Farrah and Brittany have done a great job of that too, just getting everything really where they're supposed to be so we can really track the dollars and our expenses.
Because the needs are increasing, right? That's what I'm remembering with some of the
Yes.
data. Yeah, the needs are increasing.
But the dollars don't
So-
increase too
Oh,
much.
okay. So they're not increased, even though we have a higher percentage of students that are requiring those services?
They do some, but it's not significant enough to cover those expenses. Yeah. And that's always been the challenge is, getting as much as you can from what you're getting for those services. So I think we're just getting better at that and more, more effective and being able to track it so much better too. So he's keeping his eye on the ball. So it's a good thing.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. All right, discussion items, the ISBA convention that was last week in Boise, which Chris St. Germain and Carmen and Dr. Garrett and myself attended. A lot of good information. There was a lot of key points that were discussed. Some of them pertain to us, some of them didn't. School funding was huge on the agenda, on going from the average daily attendance to enrollment. That's still on the plate, and that's still gonna try to get pushed to the legislature again this year. Whether it'll pass or not is anybody's guess at this point.
So to kind of follow up to that, keep
Yeah.
in mind there's the legislator last year appropriated money for enrollment.
Right.
but we are being paid on average daily attendance.
Exactly.
So there's a gap there, obviously, of what was allotted to come to school district, public schools versus what was actually is being distributed. So that is where the big push is from Superintendent Critchfield, is saying that's about $92 million that needs to go out to public schools because the legislators appropriated it.
And
And
we
they're,
didn't get it.
yeah, and they're trying to figure out how to get that out, and if they can legally. And it comes up right now, they're at about 6.2% is what they're saying that gap is. If that's the case, well then, obviously that would mean money to us or to every school district. So hopefully that'll come through because we budgeted hoping we would get the enrollment, obviously, and then that would make a big difference if we could end up with that enrollment piece.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's the big question mark in everybody's
Yeah.
mind on whether it's going to actually come through and
Yep.
what's going to happen. And with that, there was a lot of districts throughout the state that their levies didn't pass. So there's some hurt there, big time. So, and a lot of the emphasis too being on the early childhood literacy projects and some of that was a big push, as well as mental health, which that's kind of my little pet thing that I always look into. And there are some grants being applied at the state level, but they're using them for the bigger districts, which is kind of, I get it, because they're going through the same type of problems we are here with the lack of resources for children's mental health and substance abuse, which I kind of laugh at in some respects, because you want to talk about no resources. We have no resources, a lot less than what they do in the Treasure Valley and some other places. We have none, basically. So it's good to know that on the state level, on the Department of Education level, they are looking at that and they are working towards getting some grants and some things like that that could help us in the future with it, because we need something. We need clinicians and mental health professionals in the schools, and it's statewide. I don't think there's a district in the state that isn't experiencing the same type of things that we have as far as children's mental health and substance abuse goes. I was able to, and I actually talked to the lady today, I am getting a vape prevention curriculum going. There's a program through the Department of Health and Welfare where they offer a free curriculum. So instead of these kids that are getting caught vaping, they're getting citations from OPD, they get a fine, slap on the wrist, and they're done. And now we'll have the ability to actually make them go through a class. So that's a plus. We used to do that all the time with the tobacco violations. They would have to take a class and stuff. Some of you probably remember that, which that's gone by the wayside now, because catch a kid smoking, I dare you. They're not smoking, they're vaping. So consequently, that's kind of where we're at on that, but they now have a thing. And so I actually talked to the lady today, and we'll be able to do that. So it's something. So, yeah.
Yeah, you bet. It's fun. There were a lot of workshops where my brain was focused, not necessarily on the general sessions. The one that got me going right off the bat was around our jobs as board, and about having a strategic plan for ourselves. And I've been talking to Dr. Garrett about this for a little over a year now, and having some visions and goals that we establish in association with how you deliver, without micromanaging, and staying in our lane, and that our lane is very steeped in evaluating educational outcomes and policy. And so I learned about some data tools and standards and reports. And my understanding after asking some questions is, Cody, perhaps you are the keeper and the generator of reports. So I'll probably set up a conversation around what I learned, and see if that's something that would be a valuable tool for us. They spoke a lot about the IRI and the ISAT tools and as evaluation components. And I did stand up for us from the standpoint of, if we have 1,000 students, 400 of those students could be different at the end of the year from the beginning. And therefore, is it really a true and actual representation of accomplishment? And where are some nuances around that? But I think maybe there's some queries and reports that can be developed that we may be able to maybe on a quarterly basis, take a look at some of those things and to see where are we? I don't know. That's something that I want to talk about. I thought it was really cool that there is an Idaho law, which I didn't know about, that all third graders read at third grade proficiency. That's a goal, you know, and I didn't know that. And so that was kind of cool. So one of the things that I asked was, you know, where are we in association to that? I don't know. So that's something to learn. I always come away from these things with more to learn than and more questions to ask than anything. And I've learned that sometimes I can't just ask outright. So, one of the funnest sessions that I went to was about branding. There are school districts that are really suffering from charter competition. And it's even now in Lewiston. Lewiston, the district there is getting a little antsy. And so we were asked to actually brainstorm some branding. And so I came up with just thinking about us and how we have been talking, and was creatively enabling excellence. There were some other cool ones that other people came up with. One was fostering innovative thinking, which I thought that was a really great one that we could kind of grab a hold of. Learning every day. It doesn't get any simpler than that, right? Telling your story. So I thought that was kind of fun, and maybe something that we want to do. There was a gal from either Deary or Troy, and it was I think similar to, I think we have a tagline that says whatever it takes, and they really harped on the fact that if it's whatever it takes, and is it really whatever it takes, and can you prove that, can you demonstrate that you fulfill that you follow through with that as an obligation, and don't set yourself up for that kind of potential questioning, and maybe that's not such an appropriate, and she articulated it very well. I learned that there is a regional group, and we're not feeding them information about us, and they would really appreciate having information from us as a board to them as an ISBA regional council. And so one of the things that I thought I would put out there for us, Madam Chair, is perhaps someone on our group would like to be that conduit of information, not a board seat, not another responsibility, but an email for their quarterly meetings. Twice a year is what the updates were, just so that they had more grounded information, because we're not necessarily, I don't want to say accurately represented, but we're not necessarily represented in the issues that we face at that region, and therefore not at the state awareness level. And then there was a really exciting conversation around CTE. So those are the things that I learned. And there was a lot of talk about healthcare. There are actually some charter schools that are focused on healthcare pathways and outdoor education pathways. And I'm certainly not a proponent of that, but we do offer a CNA, right? Not anymore. Okay, I thought we did. I thought when I was doing some workforce. Okay.
Casey's will talk about building that. She wants to really get certified in public education.
Can't they
Yeah,
still
so-
take like medical terminology and some things like that?
Take 90% of what
Good.
you need except for the hands-on practice. in
Right.
IDLA.
Yeah.
Okay.
We offer those opportunities.
Okay, and LCSC has a trailer that, yeah, we could build a partnership there. But anyway, I was just kind of curious. I thought that we had CNA, and I wasn't sure of what CTE programs we actually offered. So I was curious on that.
We have the woods, the cabinet making pathway. We have industrial mechanics. We have all of the business professional programs. And we just started our family consumer science stuff, kind of up and building, and then this natural resources would be one as well.
Cool. Cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff that they,
You can go so
Put
many,
on.
there's so many different sections like CTE and how many
Yeah,
ways
yeah.
and things that you get industry trained in. and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah, it was, I mean, some cool, exciting things.
that's
The,
really cool. I would love to go that direction next.
yeah, I think
probably,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff, and it's part of the networking. You sit down, you talk with other people, other representatives from other districts and stuff, and a lot of them have the exact same issues that we have. You talk to them and they're going, yeah, that doesn't work in our district. It's like, yeah, no, not in ours either, because sometimes they talk so broadly and so big that it's like, yeah, it's never going to work for us.
That's what
got our size and our staffing abilities.
Yeah, it's different.
Have to pick one or two directions to really dive in to do well. Because if you try to do them all and you only have.
You can't, yeah.
Teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and for us, it seems like our focus is on, safety and, those kinds of issues and not necessarily that academic achievement. And
Right.
I think we should need to figure out a way to add that. The other cool factor was I was going through the pile, yesterday was I'm not a lottery ticket buyer, or I'm not a scratcher, but I thought it was pretty cool that the district, according to this last year, got $938,000 from the people that do that. And I always wondered where that money went and how it went. And it looks like over the years, and I'm not exactly sure when it started because it doesn't say here, but we've benefited from almost $2.5 million. So that's pretty
good.
cool. And then, it talks about its infrastructure stuff is what the funding was
Yeah.
for.
Lottery money, if also within the county, if we get a big lottery winner in the county, they kick down money to our department,
Oh, right
to
on.
juvenile programs. Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, the Idaho Correctional. So they had a table there and I went up and put my ski hill hat on and said, I really appreciate the Red Shirt program and I'm really happy for them in Orofino that they have more opportunity, but I'm really sad for us as a community organization that has benefited from them. And I visited with Carmen and we at the school district benefited from them and now they have a better gig than us. But I had no idea they make school furniture. And I don't know, do we know that?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
They do clothing too.
Yes, I didn't know that either. So now I have their clothing book, but that's for the ski hill. Yeah,
That's cool.
they do. And rumor has it that perhaps a furniture building facility and workforce will be coming here.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. And then
You need to know and you don't need to know.
yeah, I don't know if you care to look up the CTE annual report and information, but I brought, oh, you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think I will now as I get more time.
I'm just kidding. They are in the works of building that and bringing that program up to Orofino.
Oh, you, okay.
They used to have it, used to make license plate stickers. Yeah. For years
Yeah.
and years.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's cool. Again, it's sad for us in the community that have benefited from the red shirts over the year, but it's great to have that more meaningful opportunity for them. So I appreciate that. And I have lots of notes here and I thought I'd just set some time aside and we could talk about some.
I kind of want to ask a little bit more about what's going on with IDYCA and CTE. Just briefly, I don't know, how does it compare with what's happening here?
And I guess I can give you kind of some context.
Because you know about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so. Because of as far as there's a lot of different pieces to this. So
Right.
what the academy does currently is they have vocational courses. They've changed since I've been there and Jim could speak to this a lot better than I could. They moved over to LCSE and are doing some training programs through them, which I think is a good opportunity. And I know that their, long-term goal is for that job challenge, to be able to get kids to go through the youth challenge
Like the
program.
next level.
Yeah, and as to be able to have the next step. I don't know where they're at in that process, and I don't know if Dr. Garrett could speak to that, or even Jim would know a lot better. But they do some kind of beginning training, hands-on vocational training, and then the goal, like I said, would be long-term expansion. Pathways would be challenging for something like pathways, like what I'm doing, would be challenging for the youth challenge because of time. Mine are going to be 3-4 years, and they only have the kids for the short period of time.
I see.
Theirs would be more, students would be completing with the academy with either their GED or their diploma or a pathway to finish their education in alignment with also picking up a welding certification, a carpentry
Much like they do
certification.
for Job Corps.
Yes, very simple. So
Very
job
similar.
challenge is very synonymous
Similar.
with Job Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the skills stack is something that they're doing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Cool.
All righty.
Is Jim on?
All right. All right, let's move on to discussion about the special board meeting for early graduation requests from
Yeah, so
IDYCA.
this isn't an action item or anything, but this was
Yeah,
just
just
a request from Jim to have a special meeting for early graduation for cadets. So December 4th is what he's requesting. I can't. And it would be at the academy.
I
So,
should be
just
able to,
coordinating
if I
it.
can't,
Okay.
if I can't, I'll Zoom.
Just need 3.
Yeah, if I can't, I'll Zoom because we have to go to a post-graduation Coeur d'Alene that weekend, that week, so.
Well, and he wanted to kind of keep that, continue that tradition. I think Becca
Yeah.
started with having their own
Yeah.
meeting. So, yeah, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
take some
All right.
time for it.
So we'll figure that
Yeah.
out. in the
Yep,
next
just
couple
wanted to
weeks.
bring it up and
Okay.
let you guys know that was
Okay.
kind of a tentative plan if
So
we
you're
could make it
somewhat
happen.
flexible on the date.
We were preferring the 4th if we could. That's on a
okay.
Monday if we could. But if we can't get enough people there, we'll do it a different.
Yeah, I
think maybe I'm the
should
only
be
one
able
out.
to. I should be able to, barring any.
Jesse on?
Jesse, do you know if you're available the 4th of December?
Yep, I sent a message back. As long as it wasn't too early.
Did we lose him?
What time? What time is it?
You there?
Yeah, we were wanting to do it fairly early.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
yeah. Earlier the better. Yeah.
Can we do it earlier? than
If
that?
it's,
I think
remember,
so.
Mike, if it's early, I'll have to call in.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you said something about that. Yeah.
If
So-
it's later, I'll be in person.
Okay. So what time later? What time would that be, Jesse?
If more people can be early, it's probably better for me just to call in.
Okay.
Hard for me to get off before 5 o'clock.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we'll
figure it out.
figure that out. I just wanted to bring that up so everybody kind of knew that was coming.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the meeting calendar, the 2024 meeting calendar?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Could we add some board strategic planning?
we can. I would rather do that at a later date if we could.
Then a
Can we do
whole
that
year?
next month? Yeah. What?
I just
Yeah.
meant program it in as one of the work sessions in the months that don't have a work session.
I would like to review all of them if that's okay.
Oh,
I'd like to review all of them and get them scheduled because I want to make sure they're in the right time of year as well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I think
So they
we
all
need
fit
to-
together.
We need to put some stuff in there with strategic planning, also with vision
Mm-hmm. Yep.
or what we need to emphasize for this coming year.
So
Well, and I
really
guess
looking
there's
at,
a community engagement piece too.
there is. Yep.
Yeah.
And those, those sessions are open. So the other piece is the January and February meetings. If you guys will note on the calendar, I moved them back a week on there.
Because the holidays.
Yeah, because the holiday fall right on that Monday. We don't have school. And that gives everybody another week to get, because it's really crunches on payroll and those type of things as well
Yeah.
to get all the AP
We
done.
deal
So,
with that every year.
so really what I was looking for as we get down to the action items, it's the actual calendar dates. And then I would like to have, schedule that and we can discuss those actuals. I would like to do those in December. So we can schedule everything, all of our work sessions.
Go
So we
for it.
can,
That works.
if that makes sense.
Does everybody that work for everybody?
And I just left those on there for reference, what we did this year, but I think some of them need to be moved around. The audit obviously will stay, budget time will stay.
Yeah, some of those are kind of carved in stone.
Yeah, yes. But I'd like to do safety plan. I'd like to do that as one. I'd like to do one as our facilities and maintenance plan. And then our strategic plan is part of that all combined. What you're talking about, Chris, is really what you're looking at is all of those things. And then the curriculum piece that really, if you want to name it that, the strategic plan. So,
Right.
and then our SIP, obviously, we're required to do. So we just need to build all those together. So just kind of keep those in mind and think about how those fit and we'll get them all out there.
Perfect. All right, policy updates.
So we're on second read for a lot of these. And after the policy committee reviewed and after you guys got a chance to first, I didn't get any saying that we shouldn't for some of these. So 3560, which would be the allowance of audio on our bus cameras, that would be a second read to approve. And then 3080 as an approved to for out of state attendance, it just kind of provides the legal stipulations for that. 7408 is an approved for professional service contracts. And 9802 approve the national motto piece. It's legislation. All of the transportation policies are up for approval. There's too many to list, so that would be just a general overall. And we are going to wait. We're going to delay for review the advancement requirements because Jason and I spoke about that. Right now, it's stipulating the 80% requirement for a student to move on. And we want to talk about that as a leadership group and spend a little bit more time on it together. So the other one that's on for a first read is we spent some time building a work release procedure policy. For students, we do have students right now who'd leave for work release, and I'd like to have it be a little bit more systematic and tied to a credit if possible. So if you guys will just take some time and look at that, you as the board would approve whether or not they get the credit. So if you're comfortable with how they work towards achieving that, then we can have students who, if they leave fifth hour, go to work release, they get credit for a fifth hour, and could help with their electives and also could help with the CT pathway type stuff that we're looking at.
And we have some additional forms and things we've kind of borrowed from other schools that we can help. I'll share that with you guys as well, in case it, stimulates some ideas to how we do that as well.
Okay. And then the other one on the list was just to bring up in conversation, the 3380 athletic policy. It came up at our policy committee meeting to talk about two specific sections. One of the sections was in regards to all students must have no failing grades. And they check the grades on Monday. They don't check then if a student even on Thursday comes up and says, hey, I'm passing, right now we are letting them participate the day of. So if there wanted to be any changes to that policy, and then students who do not come to school in the regular time on the day following participation, they might not be able to participate in the next event. So at the request of the policy committee and Dr. Garrett, I just sent it out to coaches, parents, ADs, and said, anybody have any thoughts on this? And I got some there's some decent feedback. A lot of the biggest piece of feedback I probably got was that we should have more flexibility on the day after an activity participation for the morning after, because we are double dipping a little bit with our attendance policy. Right now, if a student doesn't come the morning after getting home on a bus at 2 a.m., they can potentially be not allowed to play in their next game. Whereas the parents feel like if there's a late, and it was scheduling on our part, if they're getting home late, that we should have some flexibility, because most of our student athletes don't have attendance problems. It's not like they're missing first period 12 times. So that's something for you guys discuss as a board. Chris mentioned as well after reviewing it that maybe there's some disjointedness between the disciplinary procedures between what we do for sports and versus outside of sports. So what it sounds like, this would be a really good one for you guys to spend some time reading the whole policy before we do our second read, and just give me some of your guys' insight. And I can share with you guys any of the comments I got from anybody as well. There was, there's still some concern that it might be challenging for teachers to feel the pressure of you have to grade things if a student's turning in late or if they're not passing. When does the grade check happen? How often should grade check be happening? So all of those things were shared concerns. Our ADs are awesome and they're willing. We'll do whatever we can to make sure that kids get to participate, and we'll do the work. But what level of work is realistic for them? So
And fair.
Yeah.
Well, what's it? The follow through on consequence that's
Right.
consistent.
Right.
Is the-
So it looks like it needs some time to be. I think we passed this one 2 years ago now. This new one.
Probably so, yeah.
Probably when I started policy committee stuff. So I'd say maybe just spend some time reading it, see what you guys think. In order to do that, and I shared this with Chris, is I'll make you guys a copy that you guys can make some private comments on, because the one we have published right now is our published district policy. So for it to go into full workshop, if that's what you guys are hoping to do, I'll make you a copy and send it out to you. Okay, we'll do that then. So do you guys want the list of the possible approves for today? So that
would
Yeah,
be
if we could have the
wonderful.
number.
so 3560, 3080, 7408, 9802, and then the transportation policies
As a whole.
as a whole. There's a whole kit and caboodle.
Okay, so I missed 7408 this one.
40.
Thanks, Becca.
Yeah.
The one she listed her second reads. Yep.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? No? Okay. All right. So we are going to need an executive session.
It shouldn't take but just a couple minutes.
Just a real
Yep.
short executive session.
Yep.
So can I get a motion?
I'll move that we move into executive session, subject to Idaho Code 74-206, 1A and B.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Craig,
Yes.
trustee Saint Germain,
Yes.
trustee Erb,
Yes.
trustee Giroux.
Yes.
All right.
positive.
All right, we have no action from our executive session, so we'll move on to our action items. First one is the early graduation request from Mr. Jones. Can I get a motion?
I'll move, we approve the early graduation request.
I'll
Mr.
second that.
Jones,
Any more discussion?
Good
All-
luck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Congratulations.
Good job, kiddo.
Yay. All right. So we're not taking any action on the calendar, I take it?
Just for the calendar dates.
Just for the calendar dates.
Just for the
dates
meeting
alone.
dates,
Okay.
not the
All
work
right.
sessions. So
Okay,
those are your regular meeting dates.
the regular meeting
Yep.
dates. Okay, just want to make that clear.
Yep.
All right, can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the regular meeting calendar dates for 2024 as presented.
I'm not gonna do.
I'll second that.
Second, because you guys are gonna be in those meetings.
I'll second.
Okay.
I thought you might want to do that to us.
No, I didn't want to do
Any
that.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, policy updates. Can I get a motion?
I missed two. I'm sorry. Get caught up here.
I think I can do it. You want me to do
Did
it?
you write them down?
Yes.
Think you can do it?
I wrote
Okay.
it down. Okay, so I'm gonna move that we approve policy number 3560, 3080, 7408, 9802, and the transportation policies as a whole. Excellent work.
Good job.
Thank you, Mike. It's been a long time coming, isn't it?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Hang on.
What you got?
I'm coming.
Oh, jeez. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
That's okay.
read it. Consistent with state procurement policy. Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next one is for our certified teacher mentor stipends. Did everybody have a chance to review that?
Yep.
Okay. You good with that, Brian?
I am.
Okay. All right. So can I get a motion?
I'll move that we accept the certified teacher mentor stipends as they were listed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I'm gonna abstain just because of my mom being one of them.
Fair enough.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Josie.
All right, all in favor then?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next is the Timberline AD supplementals and the definition of that. Can I get a motion? Did everybody have a chance to review that?
And you guys are clear how that was split. There was no
Yes.
additional dollars, just split.
Right.
Splitting the total wage.
Mhm.
Make a motion to accept the Timberline AD supplemental definitions as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll abstain on this one also.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next, new hires and separations. Can I get a motion?
I'm going to move that we accept the new hires and separations as listed.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. All right. So, board member input for the future agendas. We've kind of already sort of talked about that.
Yeah, so December 4th, you said you can be there. Chris, Christine, you said you can be
Yeah,
there.
one way or
And Jesse, you said you can be there. If it's early, you'd have to call in.
Yeah, I'll be there either way. Call in
Okay.
or on site.
So let's go ahead and do December 4th and can you call? No? Okay.
I may
Well, you
have
can
a-
call in as well. That's okay.
Yeah, unless I have a new
Uh,
grandbaby,
Okay.
that week.
We just need to make sure we have at least one member on
I'm
site
not
with
going.
3
I was gonna be
available.
there.
So, yeah, okay. All right, we'll shoot for December 4th. If something major comes up where we can't,
We'll figure it out.
but we'll go from there. Thank you for that.
All right. Motion for adjournment.
I'm going to move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Meeting is now
Very
adjourned.
good.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jesse.
Back on the floor. Bye.
Bye.